What's up? My name is Eric Butler. This channel is called Report and Opine. I am back. And from Fox News, Tucker Carlson talks to a Canadian Catholic school student who was arrested for saying men and women are different. Josh Alexander and attorney James Kitchen speak out after Alexander was arrested at his Catholic school for standing up for his beliefs. So this is where we see the PC language and the thought policing transition, no pun intended, into hardcore consequences for people who dissent with a different train of thought, right? All the stories we see out of New York, and this is Canada, so it's a little bit different, but when we see these kids destroying Chinese restaurants, subway surfing, shoplifting, looting, all of that stuff is acceptable because they know that those people who are committing these wild acts of, mischief and violence aren't going to think any different, right? They're not going to stand up to anybody. They don't even have the mental capacity to question any of these weird authorities, any of these weird narratives, and that's why they're acting crazy. So they do not care to control your actions. In fact, they would rather you act crazy as long as you do not think straight and question what they are telling you to do, right? Every time they say jump, you're supposed to say how high. Put the mask on, take the mask off, wear 2 masks, wear goggles. Get the pharmaceutical, or you can't go to work, you can't go to school. And the list continues, right? So as long as you obey what we tell you the way you think, it's 100% fine. But if you have a different train of thought, especially in Canada, apparently, you could be arrested. And trust me, they want this in America too. I mean, there were some lockdown protesters early on in 2020 that were arrested at the very same park that the Floyd protesters were allowed to camp out for 3 weeks there. So it's already here, it's happening, and no matter what happens, we still know that if you follow any of their agendas, any of their talking points to their logical conclusion, they will undoubtedly conflict with another one of their talking points. But that's the rub, right? Is to just create complete chaos that you just have to obey, right? The hypocrisy is the point. They know that, it's a show of force. It's a show of power. It's a show of control. We know that none of this makes sense, but you're going to do it anyways because we said so, and that's it. So let's see what this kid has to say about being arrested for saying that men and women are different, apparently.
Americans pay attention to Canada, the entire country could disappear and it wouldn't make the nightly news here. But we watch what's happening in Canada because it's fascinating. How could such a nice country become totalitarian so quickly? Are there lessons for us? Well, for example, a high school student in Canada has been arrested for declaring that men and women are different. Josh Alexander attended St.
And okay, so when you talk about saying men and women are different, it only works when they say it, right? So 1 month, we don't know what a woman is. Next month, it's a woman's right to choose. We don't know what a woman is, then it's Women's History Month. We don't know what a woman is, but women are smoking more weed to cope with having a harder time. We don't know what a woman is, but then there's the gender pay gap. It goes on and on and on. So as long as you capitulate to what they're telling you, then just depending on the day, the time of day, really, I don't know if it's something in the weather or what's happening, but they know what a woman is sometimes and demand that you agree that these women are in fact the victims of this terrible patriarchal structure. But then on the next day, the next hour, so to speak, there's no difference, right? You could have a 6'5" man just say he's a woman, and now he's a power lifter and he's destroying women at powerlifting. But that's a completely different story, obviously, and I digress. Let's continue.
St. Joseph's High School, Catholic High School in Renfrew, Ontario. He was barred from school, from the grounds, for saying that God created 2 genders, because that's kind of a Christian precept and also common sense. When he showed up for class, police arrested him. You can see it on your screen right now. So we thought it'd be worth talking to him, and now we are. Josh Alexander and his lawyer, James Kitchen, join us. Thanks to you both for coming on. Josh, first to you. You were arrested because you showed up on campus at a Catholic school for saying that men and women are different. Have we overstated that?
No, that's exactly what happened. There was a lot of steps that it took to get to that point, but female students complained to me, and they said they were concerned because males were using their washrooms.
Okay, so he claims that he's standing up for the ladies, for the girls at his school, who apparently are not, they're not confident enough to stand up for themselves against this incredibly corrupt regime that is telling them that they basically don't even exist. So he says he's doing a good thing by defending the girls, the women, the females of the school.
this turned into a debate at the school, and I stated my opinion on it, and I used scripture to back that up, and they removed me from the building.
And there's the problem. He used scripture to back it up, even though he's at a Catholic school. And they don't like that because it's all completely fake. It's been corrupted from the inside out.
For the remainder of the year, and when I attempted to attend class, I was arrested and charged.
Did you point out that this is a Christian school and that this is like a core Christian idea because it's like in the Christian book, which some call the Bible?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually tried to have that discussion with my administrators, but they refused to do so.
Mr. Kitchen, my apologies, by the way, on what's happened to your, I think, great country. What's your recourse legally in Canada?
Well, it's limited, of course, because our Constitution is much weaker, and because there seems to be culturally and legally much less respect for individual rights and freedoms, and much more interest in, government having the kind of power to do what it wants.
This is absolute insanity. This kid he's in high school. I don't know exactly how old he is. He's in high school. And now look, they're going to obviously claim he's some sort of religious extremist. Meanwhile, it's a Catholic school. And I don't know much about the Canadian Constitution, but it doesn't seem like they want anything to do with any sort of freedom of speech, right? Like, I mean, we're obviously in America clearly having an issue with that, right? Like, they're going to manipulate every single thing that they come up with these terms, hate speech, right? And that's what they do, is they manipulate the language at every single possible turn. That's what I like to call the Democrat dystopian doublespeak euphemism. This is it in action. Now, these aren't Democrats. I don't know what you call them in Canada, these weirdo establishment hacks, but they're doing the same thing, is they manipulate the language, turn it into something completely unrecognizable, create these new rules, and then demand that you follow them, even though they make no sense. And of course, that's the point. They're supposed to make no sense.
But there is recourse to the Ontario Human Rights Commission in this case. We think there's been religious discrimination on the basis of Josh's Christian religious beliefs, so we're going to file a complaint to the Ontario Human Rights Commission. And there is recourse through the board itself as far as appealing these disciplinary decisions, and we hope to explore that as well.
I mean, Fidel Castro's son takes over your country and all of a sudden it becomes Cuba? Like, it's just shocking. Josh, quickly to you. The police officers who arrested you, a high school student, for quoting the Bible in a Christian school, must have been ashamed of themselves, I would hope. Did they seem embarrassed?
I wouldn't say so. I've had a lot of experience with police over the last couple of years, just through the Freedom Convoy and other events like that. And the police state is quite embarrassing in our country. So, no, there was no different response from them.
Are you going to continue high school?
I'm certainly going to try to. I would hope that my personal beliefs wouldn't exclude me from an education, but it would appear that's the way it's going to be.
It's an unbelievable story. I hope you'll both come back. Thank you. Josh Alexander, James Kitchen.
Yeah, it is absolutely unbelievable, right? So when you see a headline like this, you have to think, well, is that really the full story? And I don't know. Obviously, Fox News has their bias. Tucker, we all know where he stands. Well, I guess we don't all know where he stands. Everybody's going to call him some different, awful name in the book. Same thing with the entire Fox News network. And I probably have a different problem with Fox News than most of the weirdo establishment hacks, but that's a different story. So when you see a headline like this, you'd have to imagine that there's got to be more to the story than this. But I'm thinking perhaps there isn't. This is how far they've come from reality, right? And we're not talking about a public school, which wouldn't really be that much better, but we're talking about a Catholic school. So they're supposed to be, they're supposed to, quote unquote, follow the Bible, which that probably went out of the window decades ago. But the fact that they laugh at it, they pretend it's not even real. They've somehow manipulated all of this stuff into this weirdo transformer agenda. And this is the collapse, right? Because once you convince people, even if you don't convince them, you literally force them by threatening jail to agree to what they are saying, what they are teaching, then everything else becomes easy, right? Once you convince all the kids that it doesn't even matter, man is woman, woman is man, left is right, up is down, day is night, all that stuff. When you manipulate the most basic foundation of life, man, woman, child, then everything else becomes easy. Of course, the air outside is deadly to breathe. Of course, starting up a truck is the world's gonna end in 10 years. It's all so easy. It all falls right into place. That's the big ask. Changing a man into a woman is the big ask. And once you get that, everything else becomes super simple, right? They're all just incredibly manipulative and creepy salesmen. But thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe.